Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Hugo, and today we're going to see what's going to be the best stocks for this week. We're going to have a look for some tobacco stocks and for some 5G stocks as well. We're going to do some market analysis on the SP500, and we're going to use the Minecraft methods to have some look of what's going on with Bitcoin. So stay around. Before we start the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Only 3.9% of my viewers are subscribers, and I need your help to reach that 1,000 subscribers. So smash that button. Let's get back to the video. So you're going to start the week with the BTI, British American Tobacco, which is a US stock, and I'm going to talk about as well on BATS, which is exactly on the same day that the ex-dividend date is going to be on the 8th of July. And they have a dividend yield. In this case, the BTI has a dividend yield of 7.55%. They pay quarterly, March, June, September, and December, and they are undervalued in around 22.7%, which is going to be a little bit different from the UK stock. The financial health, it's a B, and we have a strong buy because of the undervalued, which is 52.7%, and on the past weeks, they didn't grow so much. Actually, they went down, and the UK stock went down as well. And that's why we have a really strong buy for this stock. If you believe in tobacco, I don't, because I'm not a smoker, and I don't think this will have too much of a future. But for this short-term, 6 months or a year investment, it could be a good thing. And you can get some high dividends with this stock. So this is one of the things that you may invest on this stock if you believe on this stock. In terms of BATS, British American Tobacco, they are exactly the same company as the BTI, but this stock is from UK, which has a higher dividend yield from 7.55. They have a 7.64, and bear in mind that you don't pay the 30% of tax that US stocks have, which in this case is much more profitable, the BATS, than the BTI. But if you can't buy UK stocks, BTI is one option. But in my opinion, I'll go for BATS. And actually, I have this stock as well in my portfolio, which I have some intention to sell as soon as they go up. Unfortunately, they went down in the past month, but they are still undervalued. So this is one of the things that some of the investors may be interested in investing, because it's undervalued in 54.8%. which is quite different from the 52 that BTI has. So this stock not only is more undervalued, but also has a higher dividend yield. And the ex-dividend date is on the July 8th. The financial health is a B because it's the same company, and the stock went up and down, completely a bit different from the other BTI, which went up, and that's why they are less undervalued than this one. But once again, if you want to have exposure to the tobacco industry, this will be a nice option instead of the BTI. And one more thing that I need to mention around BATS, it's the future growth is around 4.17%, and the earnings growth has been 12% since the last year. The ticker T, which is AT&T, it's no longer aristocrat dividend, so they're going to change the dividend yields in the future. We don't know if it's going to be the next quarter or when this is going to happen, and when it's going to happen, the splits of the company, and where we're going to get the new company, which I mentioned this already in a previous video, which you can check on the description or above. And also this stock has a real big sell-off in past May, which has been undervalued from 50%, that was the average, to now 71.9%. It's a good stock to buy, but we need to have in consideration that in terms of growth, we still have a lot. Bear in mind that some of the stocks, 72%, is going to be from the new company with the merge of Discovery and Warner Brothers, which we still don't know what's going to happen and how much you're going to get and how much is going to be those stocks, and if those stocks are going to have some dividend yields, which I doubt it, because Disney doesn't have so much of dividend yield. Netflix doesn't have dividend yield as well, so this is something that we need to have in consideration when we're going to buy this. If you're going to buy this in terms of growth, that could be a good option, but because it's undervalued in 71%, and AT&T is going to start to invest a lot in 5G. The dividend yield is 7.12%, but only for this quarter. We don't know what's going to happen on the next quarter. And they pay quarterly in March, June, September, and December. The ex-dividend date is on the 8th, so you're going to still have time to buy it. And the financial health is a G, so they have more assets than liabilities, around 2 billion or something like that. But bear in mind, the debt it's around 62 billion. In terms of the market sentiment, we have hold because of what's going to happen with this stock. We don't know. That's why I have also this stock in my portfolio. My intention, if it reach a specific value, I'll sell. I don't know. I don't have in my mind what's going to be the value, but if it reach that value, I'll sell. Otherwise, I'll keep it and see what's going to happen with the new stocks that I'm going to get from the merge from Discovery and the Warner Brothers. The earnings forecast a decline in 2.1% for the next 3 years. This could be due to the fact that they're going to split and they're not going to get that money from Warner Brothers and HBO, etc. That's only due to TNT as a telecommunication company and the 5G. One option for this month is Verizon, which doesn't have a dividend yield more than 5%. It's only 4.45%, but we still don't know what's going to happen to TNT. And probably Verizon is going to have a higher dividend yield than TNT for the next quarters or so. We still don't know. This is something that we need to have. If you are interested in telecommunications and you want to expose your portfolio to telecommunications, those are two companies which that's going to be for the next quarters the average dividend yield of 4.45%, which TNT we don't know. And they are still undervalued in 62.4%. Although we have a market sentiment of hold, I think they are really undervalued and there's a lot of margin here to grow. And I think that's a really good stock to have in consideration to put on your portfolio. The ex-dividend date is on the 8th of July as well, and the financial health is a G, so it's quite similar to AT&T. They have more assets than liabilities, but not for much of a difference. In resume, if you want to expose your portfolio to telecommunications, I'll go for Verizon instead of AT&T because of everything that's happening in TNT, and this for sure for the next year or 3 years or so, you're going to have a dividend yield for 4.45% and probably is going to grow in the next years. In terms of TNT, we don't know. We could get some money from of the sale from stocks with the merge of HBO, Warner Brothers, and Discovery, but we still don't know. There's a big question mark. So if you want to make sure this is a better option than actually AT&T. And for last, we have the ticker BDN, Breadwine Realty Trust. Okay, I didn't butcher the name, I think, which is a dividend yield of 5.45%. So they are REITs where they have around 175 properties and they build, develop, and they lease those properties for the US government, and not only, also for private companies as well. So they pay quarterly, they have a high dividend yields. Of course, there are more REITs in the market with higher dividend yields, and probably they pay monthly, but this one pays quarterly. And they pay on January, April, July, and October. They are undervalued in 36.9%, which is good, and they have ex-dividend date on the 6th of July. So this probably, since it's today, we won't be able to buy. Probably we need to have this stock in your watch list so you can buy in the future, or at least in the next quarter, in near October or something like that. The financial health is the G. They have a nice financial health, not too many debts, and the market sentiment is a hold. One curiosity regarding this stock is the growth was around 712%, which is a lot. So that's why this is going to have some impact on the future growth, and they are expecting the future growth to decline in around 12% per year because of the big growth they had during this past year. So now let's look into the SP500 for this week and see what's going to happen with the market. In terms of the SP500, we had a growth this week around 1.3%. Probably this week I'm assuming that we're going to have something like this, where we're going to have a growth like this. So the Monday usually it's negative because we had a big growth on Friday, and probably we're going to have a growth of this week for around 1.4%. The market sentiment is going to be bullish for the next week. Let's see if you're going to repeat something like this. I do think this is going to be the example. We're probably going to reach this area around here, but probably we still going to do some tests on this area around the $4,400, and if we reach that point, then we're going to have a breakout, and then we're going to continue for more towards like this, like we had the same market sentiment that we had a few months back. So if I change the interval for 1 hour, this is going to be basically the same that we're going to have this week, with a growth probably of 1.4, 1.5 during this week. And here on the MACD, we are seeing that the graph is going to do something like this, and then up, something like this, and then up. And more towards the end of the week, we're going to have more bullish markets, where we're going to reach the $4,400 if the market stays in the same tendency that has been during this week. In terms of BTC, we are having similar tendency of growth. We're still in a bull market here. We're going to grow, probably we're going to have another test on the 35k. We have here another test on the 33k. This is going to be the same thing here, so I don't think we're going to reach again below the support of 30k. I think we're now going to have a breakout from the 35k and going up. And now I want to show you the method analysis of Wyckoff, where we're going to grab these values here with exactly the same graph that we have here on BTC, and see with the method of Wyckoff what's going to happen with the BTC on the next upcoming weeks or months. This is the accumulation phases of Wyckoff, the analysis, where we can see the several stages of those phases. So this is the phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we are in this phase 4, which we are now in the spring share out. So we have here the test of the two supports lines, which already reached the two support lines, and this actually is not updated, this graph here. So we had already this bounce, we are already this bounce here, and I do believe that we're going to get in the second stage in a couple of weeks. We are still in this area around here, but what is the curiosity of all this? It's we are exactly seeing the same tendency on the BTC as the Wyckoff analysis mentioned. So this is what is quite interesting in terms of if we put both graphs one over the other, we are seeing exactly the same tendency on the BTC. So meaning probably we're going to have this week is going to be exponential growth. We're going to have a drop with another test on the 35k, and then we're going to have a breakout from there on, and going to reach another point at around 40k, that area, and probably we're going to reach the new top more towards the end of the year, maybe. This is will be interesting to see, but it's not impossible. So if we move this to the graph, we can see here this was the lowest point, and now we have here some consolidation, and we're going to have a breakout from the 35 towards. So the same thing that we can see here on this graph. So this is one of the graphs that I want to show you, which is quite interesting to see the behavior of the Bitcoin are exactly the same thing as a Wyckoff analysis, the accumulation phases of Wyckoff analysis, and to see what's happening and what's going to be the tendency of the Bitcoin. If this is going to be true, we don't know, but this is quite interesting to see the same pattern as the Wyckoff analysis. So if you want to copy all my trades, you can do it by searching my name, Kenites, on eToro, and you can copy all my trades. I recommend you to copy with around $1,000, where you're going to get more money for your buck regarding the dividends that you're going to collect during my copy. You can test your simulation with a spreadsheet that I'm going to show you at the end of this video, where you can simulate all the trades that you're going to do with my copy, and to see how much you can win per month during the copy. So the US market this week had a growth of around 1%. So my portfolio had a growth of around 0.93%. This is due because of Bitcoin, and ADA went down around 25% last week, 2 weeks ago, and that's why he got really affected and didn't have so much of a growth. Since the inception, we had a growth from 1 point from last week, with now with 16.69%, and my portfolio returns in the past 12 months at around the 31.66%. I put this information for you guys to see how much is the return of the portfolio, because of the growth is not being so much, but the return is being quite good because of what have been sold in terms of stocks, and you didn't have this information before, which is interesting for you. In terms of the top 5 stocks return this week, we had Apple with a 5.15%, Microsoft with 4.77%, Facebook 3.91%, Amazon with 3.22%, and InfraCap, which is a ETF AMZA, with a 2.26%. So we have a shift here in the market. All the growth stocks had a decrease in terms of value, and all those, the FANGs, had increase. The high tech, the big tech, had increased in around the average of 3% during this week. So this is one of the reasons as well that I dropped completely all the growth stocks, which I still have Twitter, which that's a different story, and which I want to sell in a next upcoming weeks or so. I hope next week or during this week I probably sell if it reach the $70 per stock. If they reach that value, I'll sell, because I still have copies on my portfolio that bought not long ago, and I don't want them to get any loss on their portfolio. In terms of other performance indicators and actions, we had payments for this week. So AMZA, we had a payment, AVGO had a payment, Coca-Cola, we received a payment as well, DIV, we received a payment, and MSHI, which was a stock that I bought 2 weeks ago, which basically I want to sell all the stocks that I have from the Chinese market into the ETF, like Alibaba, etc. I want to sell it to move into MSHI, where at least not only I receive from 2 ways, one for the growth of the ETF, but also from the dividends that they pay. Not much, but they pay dividends, as you can see here. New acquisitions, I have done none. And in terms of open orders, I still have SDIV. This is to do some average on SDIV, because it went down around 2.5%, and I want to invest more in KOILD, which has the highest dividend yield, this is a ETF that I spoke last week, where they have the highest dividend yield, where you can see here on the screen as well, with around 11.99%, almost 12%, and they are indexed to the Nasdaq. Basically, it's the way they do the contract is a bit different, and that's why they pay a lot of high dividend yield. But for that, check the video from previous week, where you can see more information, detailed information around that. In terms of close orders and averaging, I've done none, and the top payers are still AMZA, and the top dividend yields are QYLD with almost 12%, and the portfolio is still undervalued 42.9%. So we had the increase here of the portfolio undervalued from 41 to 42, and in terms of the future growth, we had a decrease here from 6% to 5.7%. This is due to, because of the shift that I'm doing from growth stocks to stocks that pays me dividends, and they are more stable than other stocks because of the expectations of what's going to happen in the market, that we can have a crash in upcoming months or probably in the next year, we don't know, but this is something that could happen. So that's why I'm trying to sell those stocks, the growth stocks, have that money in balance, so we can reinvest as soon as the market go down, or any other stock that I have on my portfolio goes down below the 5% or the 10%. In terms of stocks with a high volatility, still Main, and Unilever with the lowest volatility. So now let's look into the spreadsheet. So if you are seeing this spreadsheet for the first time, don't forget the link is on the description, and you can put the value and for the investment that you're going to do on your copy. If this is going to be $1,000, then you can see here how much you're going to receive per month, with the total investments here and how much you're going to receive. Bear in mind, this is already values after tax, because I'm calculating here the tax, so this values over here, it's always after tax, not before tax. In terms of payments, we had the AMZA, the AVGO. We have received DIV here. I didn't put it here because we received this month and not the past month, but this is actually regarding the last month. And here is exactly the same thing with Coca-Cola and MSHI, which we received the dividend only this month, not the last month. So for those who ask me when is going to be the payment, so usually the payments, it's sometimes the next month, not on the same month of the that is declared because eToro usually pay on the next month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks after they receive. So have this in mind, that eToro only pays you the next month probably. So if that doesn't happen actually, then open a ticket and they will sort the issue for you. You just need to mention what is the ID of the transaction. So you need to go to open orders and select the open order that you have, and you have the ID there, and you can send that to eToro and they check out what's happening with that stock, what wasn't paid. So if I've changed this for the highest dividend yields, I can see here my top stocks, how much I'm investing, and usually they pay monthly, which is good. And here how much they're going to pay per month and per year. You can see also here what's going to be the average of payments. Usually, of course, if you're going to copy me, don't forget that they're going to pay you from this time on, not from the previous, of course, or this month, for example, because this also depends when it's going to be the ex-dividend date of that stock. If you bought the stock 2 days before the ex-dividend date, that's fine. But if you bought the stock within 1 day before the ex-dividend date, probably eToro is not going to pay you, because you need at least 2 days. Bear that in mind. So if you like these tips, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like. There's a lot of investigation and work behind that I need to do in order to provide you this video, and it will help me with the YouTube algorithm in order to this videos to reach more people. So once again, thank you guys, and see you next week.